Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. And welcome once again to another edition of the Juice Box, episode 51. I promise I won't continue to name off the episode number. It was just last week was 50, so now we are on the back half of the first 100. So 51, this is, once again, hopefully everybody's doing well. Interesting week as usual here in the world of pro wrestling. Nothing really surprises me at this point, considering the nature of, all the ins and outs of who's, coming into a company, leaving a company. You've got CM Punk back. You have TV rights deals coming. You have a lot of interesting things being discussed up and down in the pro wrestling world. We will get to a chunk of those things throughout this show. A couple of little news items as well. An item or two related to this program additionally. So we'll get into all that. As always, let's just hit the basics on Twitter at Juicy Steen, Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram. Also check out, if you want to go to this podcast directly, juicysteen.podbean.com. You also can do Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, if you would like to find this show outside of Podbean. And if you do listen to this show on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes, if you could give this show 5 stars, that would be fantastic. Really would appreciate it, as the show is for the fans, so it would be fantastic. But that's enough joking out of the way. Let's get into... before we even get into any of this, we're gonna touch on last week's SmackDown into this past Monday's Raw, and then of course we'll hit a little AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Interesting show. A couple more tidbits there. So we'll get into all of that. Hopefully this is not too crazy of an episode in regards to length, but you never know. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, I'll detail some of the stuff this show in regards to programming notes going forward for the next couple of weeks. It is the busiest time of year for many people, and especially me with my real life job, outside of the the Juice Box, which unfortunately does not pay the bills. As a matter of fact, it doesn't pay any bills. But this is a tough, crazy time for me every single year. So I still plan on getting this show out every Friday. To all of you out there, but I just want to make everybody know that there's going to be some specific episodes potentially coming. I got stuff I'm working on, and we'll see what's going to happen. But everything, you should be expecting this podcast to still be released every Friday. So that's the end of that. Let's go right into it, right out the gate. The rumors have been swirling, to say the least. There's a chance I discuss this further on the tweet machine in a few days. Potentially, we'll see how it all pans out. But AEW is with Warner Brothers Discovery, and they have been for the duration of their run. And WWE, Monday Night Raw has been on USA for quite some time. And SmackDown has been on Fox since 2019. So the rights deals are coming up. Seems that TV rights are going to be shopped around in regards to Raw. I'm not sure if SmackDown's rights will necessarily be up and be changing so soon. Additionally, I know that the Peacock rights and the content on there that's primarily from the WWE Network, I know that is going to be coming up at 2025, maybe 2026. I know that they're coming up to where they're going to have to shop those rights. So that's also, something you got to take into consideration as we move forward. Like, how are these things going to go and change? Is the network going to really... There's a lot of different things in play there. Let's get into currently. Where is Raw going to go? What deal is going to happen? And let me just say, I pride myself, as a wrestling analyst. I do have a journalism degree, but I would not say that this show, nor most of what I do on Twitter, is really considered journalism. I would say I have written articles, I have reported, I've gotten interviews, I've interviewed wrestlers, plenty of different things. I would consider that journalism. I would not consider what I currently do here as necessarily journalism, in the sense that, sure, I'm, analyzing things. This is why I put pro wrestling analyst with a journalism degree in my my Twitter bio. It's just, there's, I wouldn't say there's really an unbiased take to how I view wrestling. I like WWE, I like AEW, I like all pro wrestling. That is consistent. However, if things are good, I will really pinpoint that, go out of my way to say that without question. If something is, in my opinion, subpar, it's not to a level that I can appreciate, any number of things, I'm going to say it. And that's just how that is. I'm going to be critical when need be. I'm going to give praise, sometimes high praise, to things that I think deserve it. As a journalist, you have to be unbiased. You have to look at things objectively and see both sides and report on that. I take that approach to how I analyze pro wrestling, where I could see the good and the bad in both. I will report the good and the bad without really taking a side. That's how I view what I really contribute to the pro wrestling community. And then there's engagement farming, clickbait, trying to stir up buzz, hot takes, opinions that are just crazy for the sake of the click, stuff like that. And it's just, I don't prefer that method. I understand where some could come from with that. I understand, if that is your life or if that's your business, if it is, if something that you do is, I don't even want to say report on pro wrestling. If you analyze pro wrestling like I do, and you're someone out there, you've got a podcast, you have a video podcast, you write articles, whatever that may be, if you do that about wrestling, I would suspect that, if you're going through this and doing that purely for the clicks, I would say, my own opinion, that you might be going down the wrong path. Not necessarily because I think that's wrong, but I'm saying that you might be getting information, looking for information, speculating on information, trying to be praised and get the recognition, the clicks, what have you, for something that may or may not be accurate, or let alone just true in general. That's where this whole Warner Brothers Discovery WWE thing is going. There are so many folks out there that have Twitter accounts, they write articles, they make videos, and there's no one in particular. This is not a shot at anybody. I'm incredibly open about interactions with those on Twitter and on any site where if I really had an issue with an individual or whoever over certain things that they did, I would have zero issue either directly acknowledging them publicly, or if I felt like we could hash it out behind the scenes, I would shoot them a direct message or try to find some other way to contact them, potentially privately, without really doing anything out of line. That being said, here we are, and the rights for the WWE Raw product, I assume first at least, again, who knows about SmackDown? We got Peacock and the other rights. With Raw, are up in the air, and there's a huge speculation that it could be going to Warner Brothers Discovery, which would be a huge potential nail in the coffin for AEW in the TV realm of deals. It's not to say that AEW would fold if WBD would get WWE, but it wouldn't be great, and they'd have to probably shop around and find another spot to air Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, what have you. There are so many of these, I'm going to use air quotes, pro wrestling journalists, pro wrestling media, pro wrestling pundits, pro wrestling analysts. And look, I am an analyst, but I'm not doing what these guys are doing. So many. And again, it's not just one, it's not just two. There's so many of these accounts that I'm seeing on Twitter, literally just trying to farm engagement, farm clicks, farm praise for speculating a guess on, WWE's in talks with WBD. It could be a huge thing. CM Punk, could have been the one that kind of opened the door towards this WBD WWE meeting, because it's been something that has been confirmed is PW Insider saying that on Monday, TKO's Mark Shapiro, as well as Nick Khan and Paul Levesque, Triple H, were in New York City at the Warner Brothers Discovery headquarters meeting with Bruce Campbell, not from Evil Dead, but from WBD, an exec there, about potentially moving Raw to that WBD family. That is a confirmed report by PW Insider. But what is not confirmed, what is just rumor, what is just speculation, what is literally just guessing based on assumptions, based on some outside knowledge, based on hearsay, even, further back than this month, people have been discussing this particular thing being a possibility. I know there have been a few that I personally know that have had some insight on this as early as November, and included in that, I will say one of the guys' name, Andrew Baydala, Ticket Drew, as I like to call him, great friend of the show, of course, love Drew. He is one of the guys that kind of pushed out, hey, WBD and WWE kind of could be cooking something here. I believe he said that on during the Tuesday Night Titans show that he has alongside JD from New York. So I know as early as like November, although I think a little later in November, but still over, 3 or 4 weeks ago, this has been kind of cooking up, and we are still not confirmed on any deal. This has been in the works, to my knowledge, potentially for a month or so, yet we still have nothing indicating an actual deal. Yet there are so many people on Twitter, on YouTube, on the internet, writing articles, posting tweets, getting hyped clicks, and just farming engagement. I cannot stress this enough. For purely being, in their words, correct about the speculation. Is this where we're at? I know, and we are not going to get into a, general sense of journalism topic on the Juice Box. This is a pro wrestling show. We are sticking as close to pro wrestling as possible. We will veer is coming. We will veer right or left or wherever avenue wrestling takes us without having to go further than pro wrestling. We'll do whatever it takes to get it back to wrestling, and that's where we're at. But I know journalism in general right now, across the board, has had it's been a tough transition, I would definitely say, since social media has become not just prevalent, but the hub for journalism and all of those types of news reporting matters. You find out things on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, well before any newspaper outlet might get a hold of it, especially for print. 10 to 12 years ago, I was in collegiate classes for journalism, and this is exactly what they were talking about. It's going to turn. The newspapers are going to start going away. Social media is really picking up steam here, and it's true. And it could not be more true right now. Social media, you find things instantly. You report it instantly. It's there instantly. But the downside is the fact checking, and it's rumor, and it's guessing, and it's speculation. All of that, by the way, is fine. I guess, I analyze, I speculate, I hear rumors, I somehow, find something out, and I might give a little insight on it. I might not reveal sources. I might, I might have a scripted piece of paper from the script that CM Punk based his first promo back on Raw on. I might have access to that, and even then, even when I had something like that, literal physical evidence of a script, all I did was announce that I had access to it. I never revealed sources, and I did post a photo of it, although I did add my own watermark to it because it was accessible, by me. So I'm not going to let someone just steal that. Journalistic integrity. Now, I will say, after further review of that script, which, by the way, still was legit, 100% legit, I cannot stress that enough, there was a page or two that I did, some notes that I had posted in regards to that script that outed some other personnel that I, on further review, felt unnecessary to reveal or post. I really just wanted to post the photo of the script and get that out there. And I have since removed the images that, revealed other personnel and other information that really, to me, was not as necessary to what I was trying to put forth about the CM Punk script. But in that, all that, first of all, you live, you learn. Journalism is all over the place sometimes. I posted something legit. I know it was legit. I never posted who gave me that access, and I never will. I have no reason to out someone or to out a source, whatever that may be. Yet I know it was true. I know it was true. As Kurt Angle once said, it's true. It's true. But this, much like the who's gonna buy WWE, debacle. It's the Saudis. It's this. It's that. It turned out to be UFC's like parent company, and they merged, and it's been like pretty normal. Vince is not there really anymore. He sold a lot of stock, and Triple H has been running things creatively since like Clash at the Castle, and it's been one hell of a ride since then. It turned out to be a non-issue, but so many people were so gung-ho and adamant about not only reporting, quote unquote, that the Saudis had gotten a hold of WWE and this is what's going to happen, but they were so happy that they got it first. Let me tell you something. Pro wrestling journalism is kind of a fallacy. Like, there's very little to report in regards to pro wrestling unless you're a legitimate news source. Because even if I have news and I report it, like, there's only so much that people will believe, like, I can say I reported, I can show my sources, and all those things are true, but for pro wrestling, when it's literally based in trying to mask that it is not actually a legitimate competition or contest or sport and passes off as one, there's really no way to report about those things. There's really ways to analyze what happens because it's a TV show every week, every Wednesday, every Monday, every Friday, every Tuesday. We'll get to NXT Deadline, by the way. Great little show. It's very difficult to quote, like, report on pro wrestling unless it's these news items, like stuff that happens outside of the ring. Who's signing with who's leaving, whose contract is coming up, who got hurt, who got released, where's the next pay-per-view going to be. And even in those the senses of, Sean Ross Sapp, Nick Hausman, John Alba, Justin LaBar, the list goes on, Sam Roberts, of, guys and girls that report on pro wrestling. And they all report it, and they can report it. They have Fightful, and they House of Wrestling, and Wrestling Inc., and, all these places do report these things. But once they're reported once, it's no longer important who reported it first. It's way more important about who analyzes it and, like, let's dive in and figure out the nitty-gritty and the intricacies and the nuances and everything about the story. So many people are so incensed on not only maybe getting a story correct, because I still think that's in their rear view. What's more important to these people is, I want to get this story first. I want to be the first person to report this. Caveat, I did say nobody else was reporting the CM Punk script, and I would technically then be the first guy to do it. But I was more excited about, like, showing that script and delving into, he used these lines, and some of these lines never would have thought to be scripted, but they turned out to be scripted. And that's all I cared about. I wanted to analyze the script. I could care less if I did it first or someone else did it, and it doesn't matter to me because it shouldn't matter. We are all analyzing pro wrestling. We are not reporting on pro wrestling. I'm sorry to say, those of you out there who think that getting some speculation or some rumors correct ahead of someone officially announcing it is not journalism. It's not. And if you're not trying to be a journalist, then that's okay. That's fine. That's fantastic. But to champion and to do victory laps and circle around social media as if you just discovered plutonium, yet all you did was report, quote unquote, report that WWE and Warner Brothers are in talks and Raw could be going there. Who cares? It's so weird to me that, saying that you found out this information or you guessed on this information. Educated guess is still a guess. Guessing on some information, then you end up finding. Nobody, by the way, has found out anything. There's two ways this is going to happen. Let's say WWE, whichever WWE, wants, whatever route they want to go with Raw, whether it's with WBD or not, and it's somewhere else, either a news report, a news outlet is going to pick up and find the story. Wall Street Journal with the Vince stuff, someone like that will pick it up first. The story will be posted first by them, and then it will be, reported by them. Justin Barrasso, Sports Illustrated. Some of these are so obvious; they're legitimate news sites. That's what'll happen, and then we can all talk about it. No one is saying, not only, and I reported first, but did you hear that I reported it first? I've reported it first. It was me. Oh, no one cares. We all want to talk about the details. This is so asinine that I even have to go in depth with this. This is the most in depth I've gone about journalism and pro wrestling, because correlating the two, as I stated earlier, is very difficult considering pro wrestling is not a legitimate sport. It's a TV show that we are talking about. There's less to report on, because even if someone says they're injured or a contract is up, at the very basis of pro wrestling, where you don't even know what is actually real, who knows if those people are actually injured? It's very, very small window of things to report on in regards to pro wrestling. So either a news outlet, like I said, would report that WWE is, with a new team or with WBD, or WWE would post it first, or Triple H, they'd put it on their Twitter, they would tout it like the biggest thing in the world. Are they engagement farming? Are they looking to parade around with their couple thousand followers saying, hey, we did it, we reported this news first, no one else ever could have reported this first? Oh, you reported it at 10:45? Well, we posted it at 10:30. So you were 15 minutes late. We did it first. No. WWE would not do that. They would post it, and they would watch every single one of, people like me dive into what would actually happened and all those things. We would find the like I said, the intricacies, the details, how long the deal's for, how much money it's for. We would analyze that, and that's what I love. I'm not, contrary to belief, I am not a journalist in my legitimate real-life profession. I do have a journalism degree, but that's not what I do. I use that degree as a source for myself to base how I look at things, how I view things, how I pick up material, how I, can retain material, how I analyze certain things, how I analyze how other people analyze things. And, I use it to prove, I'm not biased. I want to show the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it may be, because it's true, because it's accurate, not because it's first. Journalism is about being accurate. I'm sorry. There's no way around it. Getting the story accurate first before reporting it is the most important. Speculating the story first and championing that for clicks is very, very bizarre. It is a simple concept that does not seem to matter to those, as I said earlier, pro wrestling, quote unquote, journalists. I think WWE, no matter what, will have say in who knows first. Whew. So there's my little diatribe, I guess. We'll spend a little bit of the remaining 20 minutes of this show discussing some wrestling, but I just, I'm over seeing, again, there's no one in particular. This is not a shot at anybody in particular. I don't need to do that. There's so many people that I've seen. I wish it were just one or two people, then I could be like, oh, well, They don't know what the hell they're talking about anyway. Like, what does it matter if they say that they reported something first? It is countless accounts I'm seeing. We got it first. I was talking about this then. How could you not know this? I said this first. It was us. It was me. Who cares? Nobody cares who got it first. We just want to see it accurate. Because here's the thing. The worst part is WWE will end up going to WBD, and everybody that said, oh, we said it first, will say, oh, not only did we say it first, we got it right first. Great. I am under the impression that maybe it doesn't actually go that way. If it goes outside of WBD, those who said it first will be regretting that they said it at all. So, pro wrestling is fun. I love pro wrestling. Pro wrestling's great. To quote some of my podcast cohorts out there. Let's get into some wrestling, some real life wrestling. Interesting last couple of days. I'm not going to really dive too deep into most of it because we've really gone incredibly deep with this last little WWE WBD deal that may or may not be happening. So we'll see. But let's just tackle Raw. We'll tackle a little bit of NXT Deadline, like a little recap there, and then hit Dynamite, and we'll close out with some analyzation on that. SmackDown was all right. I thought CM Punk cut a better promo than the one on Raw the first time, so that was good. Outside of that, nothing really crazy happened. Now tonight, Roman Reigns is back. So we will see what is really in store going forward. Does Roman wrestle anybody at the Rumble? Does he acknowledge CM Punk? Because CM Punk acknowledged him. I don't know, but it's gonna be thrilling. I gotta say, it's gonna be thrilling. We had Drew McIntyre defeating Jey Uso on Raw. As we get to Raw, Maxine Dupree had a just not a great performance against Rhea Ripley, but I don't know. I think she needs some more work. I think Maxine Dupree is a great character, but I think she needs more work in ring. That being said, I really, really hope that the third piece of the Creed brothers deal, Ivy Nile, should get involved with Rhea Ripley. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I guess we can tie some NXT into WWE Raw and SmackDown. With the NXT stuff, CM Punk not only was on SmackDown for the first time in over 10 years, he was on NXT. He was at NXT Deadline, which was really cool. Had a little moment with Shawn Michaels as he wore Shawn Michaels is in the ring with a cowboy hat on, and CM Punk has a Bret the Hitman Hart hoodie on, which I felt was amazing. We'll get into more of Deadline in a little bit. Bronson Reed and Ivar, love these Hoss fights that they have been doing on Raw. They've been doing a great job putting these guys in, really showcasing them well, and I thought it was a fun showcase. Bronson Reed gets the victory. I like to think that he's got some momentum cooking as we get into 2024. Hopefully he's not really stuck in traffic and he can put up a good show at the Royal Rumble, but we are not even into January yet, so we will not. I lied. We're going to talk Royal Rumble here in a little bit. Imperium and took on DIY and The Miz, which was interesting. But they're all, it was in Cleveland, which was really cool. And all those guys, Cleveland with Gargano and The Miz, big fans of those guys. And they actually defeated Imperium, which was pretty cool. Man. Becky Lynch coming out, cutting a promo on Nia Jax, saying that even her knees gave up on her. Everybody else has too. Savage stuff. Looking forward to some Nia Jax, Becky Lynch interactions going forward. Speaking of interactions, I don't know who said it. I saw it on Twitter, and this is not a knock on anything. This is all positive here. Have you realized that Shinsuke Nakamura's new creative approach, at least from the creative side of things, is practically an anime designed to boost his character. I know that it might be like, what are you talking about? There's no cartoons and whatever, and they're not animated at all, but it's translated on the screen. Which finally, well, not finally, it was finally when it first happened before Payback, Shinsuke having subtitles and it kind of, doing a little video reel of certain Cody things and Shinsuke just bullet point here, bullet point there, and like, I'm going to, do this and this. And I love the combination of, what Shinsuke is saying and, the words on the screen combined with the highlights and clips of his adversary, of his adversary in Cody Rhodes. I just think it was really cool. And I don't know if we're going to get any match at the Royal Rumble, but it's been announced that the MSG house show that normally happens around Christmas time is happening again, of course. And Shinsuke and Cody are going to be in a bull rope match together. One-on-one in a bull rope match in Madison Square Garden. Really wish that would be on Peacock, but I unfortunately don't think that is going to happen. But yeah, I'm just really loving these interactions between Shinsuke and Cody. I know Cody's probably just going to go over, and that he has to finish his story. And CM Punk mentioned finishing the story as well, which is main eventing WrestleMania. CM Punk had interactions with the Judgment Day. Which Judgment Day has had some problems with R-Truth, who made a mention to they should get rid of JD McDonough. Instead, they got rid of R-Truth, who was never in Judgment Day, but really entertaining stuff. R-Truth still got a lot left in the tank. Really helping out WWE in all aspects that he can. But CM Punk had the Judgment Day interaction. He had a Kofi Kingston interaction backstage, which was really, really nice to see. The last time CM Punk was in WWE, the New Day hadn't even existed. Think about that for a moment. But yeah, we get finally CM Punk in the ring and, in a one-on-one promo battle with Seth Rollins. And this was, interesting to say the least, but I don't even want to say interesting. This was unbelievable. CM Punk 10 years ago, really, almost to the month, did the Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh. I was there. And the next night, was supposed to be on Raw, and walked out, said, I'm going home. And that was the last we saw of him until 2021 in AEW. And the last time we saw him in WWE until November 25th at Survivor Series. It's funny that Raw was in Cleveland, and he mentioned that, look, hey, 10 years ago, this is where I was, and I apologize. He apologized to the fans, and he left Cleveland then, and he needed to do it. He has no regrets about it, but he did apologize to the fans for what he did, which... the Raw promo, the first Raw promo a couple weeks ago was scripted. Now, he did ad-lib some stuff, and he did, of course, bounce off some of the points and kind of created his own way of doing the promo. But still pretty scripted. Again, nothing wrong with that. It was scripted. That's just the fact. The SmackDown promo I thought was a little better. A little bit more delved into. He brought up some more people, Now he's a week in. He's got some people. He's talked to some people. He's been backstage meeting people, saying hi to people, giving people advice. Performance Center, he was down there. He was at NXT Deadline talking to NXT talent. And it just seems, and it's very obvious that CM Punk is truly happy to be back in WWE at this point of his career and life. He seems happier. He seems at peace with... Look, I wanted to come back to wrestling, but when I went to AEW and it started to not work out, I was like, damn. I know that WWE is pretty professional all the time, let alone right now. It seems like morale is really high. maybe this will work. And Seth Rollins did challenge that. He said, look, this is my place. This is our home. You are not calling it after you tried to tear it down. You talk trash on everybody backstage, all these things. And back and forth, great work. Although Rollins, I think, could have dropped the, hey, you also had your UFC debut in Cleveland. You got knocked out or submitted, whichever. You tapped out. But whether he uses that in the future, which I would say could be a good little launch point for a Punk-Rollins promo interaction, or Rollins is saving that for a future one, or they want to save it and have Punk, have a great rebuttal to that. I'm sure they can work something out, because I've said this a lot now since Punk's been back. This is the most professional working environment CM Punk has been in a very, very long time. So it's refreshing to see, because it's so damn obvious that Punk wants to work. He wants to make money. He said it. It's not about making friends. It's about making money. But I do think he's, coming back together with some people he's missed and some friends, of course. But I'm sure he's smoothing things over with people that he might have had a problem with. Triple H said it best in his post-Survivor Series press conference. If you're the same person that you were 10 years ago, you really need to look yourself in the mirror and figure something out. You should be changed. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago. I know I'm not, personally. 2013 Juice Springsteen's a little different than 2023 Juice Springsteen. I can tell you that right now. I think I'm more mature. Some might not agree with that, but nevertheless. But just in general, you have more life experiences. You go through more trials, tribulations, ups, downs, etc., etc., etc. So I think CM Punk's really in a good place mentally, emotionally. And yeah, he said, Rollins, you're not even the man in your own house. Dig. Great dig. And Punk did officially say, I'm signing with Monday Night Raw. He signed the contract, and Rollins goes, hey, you want to be in WWE? I want you on Raw so I can expose you as a fraud and wrestle circles around you, because this is my show. It's Monday Night Rollins. CM Punk did declare for the Royal Rumble, and we're going to see what happens, man. I am thrilled. I can't wait to see what match inevitably happens between Rollins and Punk. You got to think it's going to happen sooner than later. Does it have a title attached to it? I don't know. I don't necessarily think it needs to have a title, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, he's in the Rumble. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are the only guys in the Rumble as of right now, and I can almost guarantee they will be in the Final Four of the Royal Rumble. If I had to guess, two others to finish in the Final Four with those two, give me Gunther again, and hell, give me LA Knight in there. Also, I wouldn't necessarily think that Grayson Waller doesn't have a chance to make it the Final Four. Same with Randy Orton. I could see either of those guys making it. So there's a good chunk. I mean, there's a hell of a roster WWE's got on the men and women's side right now, and I think the Royal Rumbles will show that in spades. So can't wait for that. Raw was good. Very interesting. It's almost must-see TV now. CM Punk is back on, and it's just weird. CM Punk in AEW was like, hey, I'm back in wrestling. I'm going to make a lot of inside jokes because this is the hardcore wrestling company. And, it just didn't... It worked, but then it, clearly was not working the same. And it just didn't feel the same. And I don't know. It's bizarre, but he's back in WWE, and it's this is the CM Punk character we wanted, that we loved, that we fell in love with how many years ago. It's not just CM Punk the guy. I could care less about CM Punk the guy, Phil Brooks. I'm here, and that's not care less, but that's not what I want to see on screen. And because he's a nice guy, but I don't want to see him like that on screen. I want to see this straight edge, but some sort of an edge to him, and he's not afraid to say what he thinks, and unapologetically CM Punk across the board in a wrestling sense, not just CM Punk the guy. And I think that's really coming out here in this second, and, Rollins did say, this is your last chance, and everybody knows it, So I think Punk knows it. I think he's going to hopefully knock this out of the park, so we'll see. I did want to tackle NXT real quick. fun little show. NXT's on fire in their little, they do shows every week, and I say little, it's so interesting, just the stuff they do week to week. And I just love the little pay-per-views that they do, and they're all stacked, and they have great characters, and I think a lot of the characters are going to start appearing on Raw and SmackDown very soon. As a matter of fact, Carmelo Hayes is, in fact, in the U.S. title tournament, potentially, if he wins, could face Logan Paul. I just wanted to make this little note, though. NXT Deadline had the Iron Survivor match, a match that was created, I believe, last year, maybe 2 years ago, and it's a combination of the Championship Scramble and an Iron Man match and the King of the Mountain match. There's a penalty box. There's multiple falls. There's penalties for getting pinned. There's a time limit like the Scramble. And I love the concept. Trick Williams won it, and it was just a great spectacle. I love the concept of the match, and I want to see it on Raw or SmackDown or featuring Raw and SmackDown guys. I put it on a regular pay-per-view. I really think it has potential, and I cannot wait. It's called the Iron Survivor match, so if War Games somehow becomes, stale at Survivor Series, or better yet, if War Games is not the organic way for a feud to conclude or further. They had the Bloodline last year in War Games. They had the Judgment Day in this year's War Games. No more factions, But if next year they don't want to do War Games, you could do an Iron Survivor match for the men and the women. I think that would be pretty dope. So we'll see. Let's get into a little AEW before we head out here. I don't know if there's any other little news and notes I wanted to tap into. No, I just, let's get into this because the main part is the last portion, the most intriguing portion. Before we get into that, we'll talk about that then. Let's get to AEW. Gold League, Blue League matches happened. Mark Briscoe did not win again. Roosh won. Jay Lethal loses again. Moxley defeated Swerve, although Swerve's arm was up. I'm hoping that they kind of have a way where Moxley and Swerve still end up tied, or there's enough for some sort of further match where we maybe get a triple threat with Swerve, John, and whoever wins the Blue League. I don't know, but I just don't think Swerve should not be in the final for that tournament. Hangman and Roddy had a match. We'll get to Hangman in a little bit. Little appearance by the Von Erichs, Kevin and his sons, Marshall and Ross. I thought was a nice little thing to see. The Iron Claw coming out, I believe, next week. So if I cannot wait for that film to come out in theaters, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And I will give my thoughts on such that following episode of the Juice Box. Whichever that will be, I believe. So if I don't know if I'll see it next week, because next week is also, by the end of the week will be Christmas. So potentially the week after. Like I said, I'm pretty busy this time of year, so the time I get to go, explore the movie theater is few and far between. But for the Iron Claw, I'm definitely trying to get out there for that. So to see those guys is pretty cool. I believe Marshall and Ross Von Erich are going to team with Orange Cassidy on a future, I think, Rampage, I want to say. Don't quote me on that, even though I said it. So it was reported, back to Raw for a sec, that the Punk Rollins interaction promo, back and forth segment, did not have a producer. Disclaimer, not every segment's going to have a producer, but it's two guys that are really good at talking, and they didn't need a producer. And it was clear. And they killed it, right? Let's fast forward. Let's go to Dynamite. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, the Golden Jets, and Big Bill, Ricky Starks, had, honestly, literally, an ad-libbed not impromptu because the segment was definitely announced. Impromptu, ad-libbed, whatever you want to call it, promo war of words, and not good. They could have benefited from having a producer on site for that. I mean, Kenny Omega was saying some bizarre stuff. Jericho was like shooting from the hip, and you could tell because Ricky Starks, his poker face is terrible. He even says, you went too far, like saying certain things that like he didn't find either cool with or accepted, or he had no problem with Jericho saying it, but there was nothing he could come up with that would be as good of a rebuttal, and it was not the intended way of the segment. Because I'm sure the segment had a producer that said, look, this is what we got to get out there, but at the end it's got to look like this. And if Jericho's kind of going off the cuff and says something which could be great and benefit Jericho and Omega, if the point was to benefit Big Bill and Ricky Starks, then damn, Jericho is just messing this whole thing up. So, and poor Kenny Omega, this is the wrestler's wrestler. They call the best bout machine, the belt collector. He can cut a promo, but this is not the segment for Kenny Omega. So, figure something out, guys. AEW. Warner Brothers is not going to have you guys if you can't, hold together a promo segment. They might find business elsewhere, but you didn't hear it from me first. You heard it from me like second or third or 10th or whatever. But and then let's get to the very, very end of the show. The Devil, his henchmen, attack Hangman Page, and they throw him. Wait for it. Through a glass windshield. Anthony Bowens thrown through a glass window. MJF attacked with a glass beer bottle. Hangman Adam Page slammed through a glass windshield. Real glass, Crimea River. It seems like the Devil can be one man and one man only. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was my poor attempt at the Jungle Boy theme, but one Jack Perry. Or it's a complete red herring, and that's on purpose, and it's a swerve. Maybe it is Swerve. No, that would be too clever. I don't know who the Devil is, but that is the point. I'm hopeful that at World's End we get at least a little bit of a clue. I don't know if we'll get it revealed yet, though. Something I saw that I would co-sign, but again, I'm not going to say that I said it first because I didn't. Wouldn't it be wild if somehow MJF, retains the title against Joe, but he still gets attacked by the Devil, whatever, and literally goes, look, I want to have a world title match against the Devil. They have a match. The Devil wins the AEW title, and then unveils who he is. Wouldn't that be spectacular? As the Devil wins, you have a new world champion, but you don't even know who it is. And then they reveal themselves, and it's just like, it adds so much more to that. Now, that is implying that AEW has a solid choice for the Devil. I'm not insinuating that they don't have a smart choice or a good choice or a successful choice or even a bad choice. I don't know what choice they've come up with, if they've even come up with one. Say that 5 times fast. But I know that it has to be great for AEW to really stay afloat here. This is a huge angle. It's their main story. It's their main champion. It's their world champion who's done everything. He was on the red carpet for the Iron Claw with John Cena. MJF's a big deal. You got to have a huge payoff for this. So if the payoff is great and it's going to be great, I don't see why you couldn't do it where the Devil gets a world title shot, he wins, and then unveils himself as he puts he's strapping the world title around his waist and then reveals who he is. Like the energy, the pop you could get there. There's so much there. But I don't know. It really just could be Jack Perry. And look, Raw could go to Warner Brothers Discovery, and it's not going to be as big a detriment to AEW as Jack Perry being revealed as the Devil would be. So take that with what you will. But look, I'm just hopeful that it's a great reveal. It could be Jack Perry, and it'd be great. I just don't know how much faith I have in that. So I'm being critical. Let me be critical. But yeah, man, this has flown by. I mean, the juice box flies by whenever you're shooting off for 30 minutes straight about journalism, quote unquote, in pro wrestling. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to banter about pro wrestling, the world of pro wrestling, everything that happens in the world of pro wrestling, and the ins and outs of the biz, as it were. And again, with a journalism background, I cannot help but to see countless people being thrilled and telling everybody that they were first in speculating a rumor that may or may not even actually come true or even be accurate. So, bizarre behavior. I'm sure it's going to continue as we go forward, and who knows where WBD ends up. Will it be WBD, WWE, or WBD, AEW? I don't know. But this will be TJB, the Juice Box. I'm Juice Springsteen. Hope you guys enjoyed this program. Did want to mention a couple of programming notes. I don't plan on not airing an episode, as I said, for Friday next week or the following Friday, which would be the preview of the World's End pay-per-view. That'll be a prediction show. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears open, of course. I'm going to be adding some programming at some point in the future. I'm not sure if 2024 will be when that starts to happen, but I've got some ideas in the hopper. They're in the infancy stage right now, but it's just going to be a few, it's just some ideas. And I'm going to make sure I'm talking to you guys, Wrestling Nation, Josh, Donnie. We will do Triple Threat Theater 3. I promise it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We got a lot to talk about. And if you made it this far, I would like to have it maybe by Royal Rumble. We can get some insight on some Royal Rumble stuff. But outside of Triple Threat Theater, I want to get another episode pumped out here soon. I've got some interesting stuff. I've got, again, coming to fruition. It's in the infancy stages. It's nothing major, but it's just some additional episodes of the podcast that I think that you guys will enjoy. It's a little bit of a deviation. It taps into my journalism background, so I think that'll be cool. So we'll see how that all plays out. Again, infancy stages. I'm working on it as day by day as we continue on. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to all that stuff. We got Royal Rumble coming up in a few weeks. Not even into 2024 yet. We got World's End coming up at the end of this month. Then Rumble, Chamber, Mania, all right, back to back to back. We got Revolution with Sting's final match in there as well. SmackDown, April 19th in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a loaded next couple of months, I got to tell you. So looking forward to sharing all those things with you guys. Again, juicysteen.podbean.com, Apple Podcasts. Rate and review this show on iTunes if you do listen to it on Apple. Google Podcasts as well. Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram and Juicy Steen on Twitter. Or if you're a cool kid out there calling it X, Juicy Steen is still the handle. But appreciate you guys listening. Shout out to Wrestling Nation. Always appreciate your guys' support. And can't wait to talk more wrestling next week. It's going to be a fun week. Maybe we'll have actual reporting on what happened with Warner Brothers and WWE, if there was even talks to begin with. I'm Juice Springsteen. Hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Juice Box, and I cannot wait to give you next week's edition, another great edition of the Juice Box. That was the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to the Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.